Hey, what it do, y'all? It's your boy E2 Blue coming back at you again, and it's Monday, Monday. Back on the work grind. Y'all already know how Mondays is coming back from the weekend, especially for me, because Saturday was my birthday. So, you know, that transition coming back to work, you just feel like you just need another day off. But football is back, y'all, and I feel like this whole off season has been going by so fast. I felt like the draft was yesterday, and it's good to see football back. We got a whole slate of preseason games coming this weekend, and going forward into the season. I mean, we are back, guys. We are a week into training camp, and there's a lot of speculation, a lot of things going on in camp. We already know about the whole Zeke situation. I'm not really too concerned about that. He gonna come when he come. Um, there's been criticism about Dak Prescott and him not looking good in practice. Well, he'll look good at this certain at time, and then at this time he doesn't look good. Look, this is training camp. This is the reason why you're there, to get a rapport with your receivers. He's got new guys like Randall Cobb and things of that nature on the team. You got to get caught up with these guys, know exactly where to hit them, to throw the ball to, because all these receivers are different as far as their speed and how they like to catch the ball. So again, all that chemistry and stuff that has to be there. Now, my biggest criticism about Dak, I love Dak to death, but my main criticism with him, and I don't really have much issue with him, but I will say that he has to get that ball out faster. And one thing that I noticed that, when he holds on that ball too much, a lot of times he was getting sacked, or he'll throw the ball too late and the receiver will miss it. He's got to hit that ball right before that receiver gets to the point. That way it leads him into the pass. Now, the thing about it is when he throws it late, sometimes the receiver has to reach back, or they're in a weird position to catch the ball, and all that does is give the cornerback or the safety a chance enough to catch up to him, to the receiver, and bat the ball down, or even jump the route and intercept it. And that's what you don't want. But again, all of these are teachable things. These are mechanics. John Kitna said himself that Dak Prescott is getting better this offseason. He's been working on his footing and things of that nature. I'm actually proud of him. I've seen the progression. I'm loving the stuff that Kellen Moore is implementing. He's putting a bunch of different wrinkles in there. You're seeing a lot of different things on offense that they weren't doing before. Now it is training camp, and again, you got to take things with a grain of salt. They are showing the team at different points, because again, they know other teams are watching these things too, so they're not trying to give away too much of what they're doing in training camp. So again, they got to dumb things down. A lot of stuff that they implement is when the media cameras is not around, when we can't see what they're doing, and that's smart, because again, you don't want any team to get a unfair competitive advantage against you. That's one thing that you don't need. I will say that I'm loving what I'm seeing with these guys. Xavier Woods out there catching interceptions, and these receivers out here looking pretty good. I mean, overall, I'm loving Malik Collins stepping up. It's going to be hard to cut this team down. So, speaking of cuts, news came out today. I know you guys probably already heard it, because I just got in from working out. So I saw it on my phone when I came back in. But Rico Gathers got cut today, and I'm surprised but not surprised. It's funny because when you think that he's going to get cut, he don't get cut. As soon as you think that he's going to get a chance, 'cause I actually thought the Cowboys were going to keep him at this point. I mean, you didn't already had him on the team 3 years. Why not keep him and see what he can do? Now, I kind of feel sorry for him a little bit, because this is my whole thing. Um, they had Rico on the team. He was drafted the same year Dak Prescott was, but in the sixth round. Um, those of you should already know, but if you don't know, he was a star basketball player at Baylor University. Now, I don't understand why he didn't just stick with basketball, because your contracts are bigger in the NBA. If it were me, I would have just stick with the NBA. But maybe he had a change of heart. He wanted to do something. Maybe he sticks with football. I'm curious to see if another team picks him up. But the only problem is he suspended the first game of the season, regardless of who picks him up. So is it somebody going to give him a chance? Hey, if not, he's always got basketball as his backup. He can always go back to school for another year and get redrafted and go to the NBA. He can do that if he wants to. We'll see what happens. But I will say this. Um, sometimes the decisions that the Cowboys make don't make sense to me. I'm not talking about the cutting him. I'm talking about getting him in the first place. I understand that you like former basketball players and this and that. You already knew that he was going to be a project. Now, check this out. He was a project. He hadn't played organized football since junior high. He didn't play in high school and he didn't play in college because he's playing basketball. Okay. Again, a tight end position, sometimes, a lot of the times, the transition is kind of not seamless, but um, you can play the position kind of like how Jason Witten does. He boxes out his players, the defenders, and he catches the ball over them. Kind of like in basketball when you catching rebounds and you box out the defender so he doesn't get the ball over you. Now that part is similar, but at the same time, it doesn't work for everybody. We know that Antonio Gates was a former basketball player. He had a very good career with the Chargers. Now as a tight end. But my whole thing is this: you knew he was a project. You knew it was going to take time for him to get acclimated. Granted, he's been on this team 3 years. He was on the practice squad for the majority of the time he's been with the Cowboys. He played last season. He played 15 games. He had like 3 catches for only 45 yards. I just feel like he just didn't really get an opportunity. Um, I can't sit here and just ish on the guy because he really didn't get much of an opportunity. Now, the little opportunities that he did get, yeah, he dropped a couple of passes, but I mean, that's nervous jitters sometimes too, and like sometimes they set these players up for failure. If you knew he was a project, why wouldn't you invest more into him? Why wouldn't you do a little bit more to help him get better? I mean, he started to come on as a blocker, and I think that's in most of those 15 games that he was active. I think that they used him a lot more as a blocker. Like they wasn't really throwing the ball because they were giving it to the Blake Jarwin and Dalton Schultz. Now without Rico on this team, now you got, like I said, you got Jason Witten that came back, so maybe they looked at that and was like, well, we don't need him. So you got Jason Witten back. You got Blake Jarwin. You know, he had that 3 touchdown game against the Giants. You look at Dalton Schultz. They got Dalton Schultz on the team. He was a former fourth round player for the Cowboys in 2018. And then they also have Cody McElroy on the team. We know that the first 3 that I said are going to make the team. Now, Cody McElroy, I don't know. But Rico Gathers didn't impress enough for the Cowboys to want to keep him. And he damn sure didn't play better than Cody Elroy for whatever it is for them not to keep him. Now, like I said, he is suspended for the first game of the season, so that's going to change some perspective. But again, the boy has options. He has things that he can do. So I feel sorry for him, but I mean, I'm pretty sure that he'll fall on his feet at some point. But I just don't understand why the Cowboys wasted a draft pick on a guy that you're trying to experiment with. I looked at a lot of the guys that was on the staff that we had before when Rico was here. A lot of those coaches don't know what to do with an experimental type of guy. They're not creative coaches, and I feel like Linehan. Oh my God! Like I know you guys are probably talking. I feel like I'm talking a hole in y'all wall about Linehan, but we know how Linehan is, and we know how conservative he is. Vanilla Hand. That's what we call him in Cowboys Nation. But Mr. Vanilla Hand obviously does not know how to they didn't use him. They didn't use Rico. They didn't utilize his talents. They didn't utilize his strengths. You got a big 6'7" guy with a crazy wingspan, and you don't get him out there in the red zone and do some things. And I feel like Kellen Moore could have done some things with him if they gave him an opportunity to do it. But now that he's gone, what you gonna do? But again, hopefully he falls on his feet. Maybe he gets it to another team. If he does, I'll be rooting for him. I do actually like Rico Gathers. You know what I mean? Like, you took a chance on your career. You know what I mean? Like, he wanted to try football. He had a love for it, and you know what I mean. He followed his dreams. Now, will he go back to the NBA? Who knows? But of course, when you cut a player in training camp, you got to keep that 90-man roster. So in his place, they have signed safety, Tyvis Powell. He was just recently cut by the Texans last week. So hey, safety alert, safety alert. Cowboys got a safety. Now it's probably not who you want, but Cowboys got depth. They got a body in there. So we'll see. Is he better than George Iloka? I don't know. Oh yeah, and I heard a couple of people say mentioned that they didn't see George Iloka. Is he sucking or what? For whatever reason, the team got him on the third. He's playing with the third team, so he hasn't really had a lot of opportunities to even practice or do much. So we'll see what happens in these preseason games. Now, this guy that they just signed, Tyvis Powell, like I said, he was cut by the Texans last week. Interesting fact about him. Well, he's 6'2", 211 pounds, so he's a slimmer guy, tall, slender guy. But he played with the Seahawks and the 49ers before he went to the Texans, and then the Texans, I guess, had him in training camp and then cut him, or the offseason program and then training camp and then cut him. Um, he played. He appeared in 18 games with the Seahawks and the 49ers collectively between 2016 and 2018. Now, like I said, fun fact about that: when Chris Richard was the defensive coordinator for the Seahawks, Tyvis Powell was there. So this is maybe a guy that Chris Richard was like, "Hey, let's bring Tyvis Powell in here. I worked with him before. He was under me when I was with he was with me when I was working with the Seahawks. So why not bring him in?" So I think that was a situation with that. So um, I don't know. We'll see what happens. Again, could be just a camp body, but again, they need safeties anyway. Um, so sad for Rico Gathers. Hopefully he lands on his feet. But guys, let me know what you think about the Rico Gathers cutting. Appreciate you guys in the comments who um, told me happy birthday over the weekend. I appreciate you guys. If you're new to the channel, go ahead, hit that subscribe button, tap that notification bell so you get this content. It's your boy E2 Blue, always keeping it real. I'll talk to y'all later. Y'all have a good evening.